How is it going?
It's going
How's
well.
It been? Since Watchmen, crazy time.
Yeah, it's been the last. God, I want to say almost 5 years has been a whirlwind. It's been crazy. Everything good. Not a lot of time to reflect on much because it's sort of one thing after the other. But man, I am happy. I am excited, and I am exceedingly lucky. So it's all been really good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I was watching The Losers, and I'm just thinking that this had to have been the most amazing movie for you to make, because the whole movie, you shoot guns, blow shit up, and make out with Zoe Saldana.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
For the whole movie. I'm like, there's nothing that I wouldn't have. Everything about your role and your character was just awesome.
It was pretty cool. You know, when I first read the script, and I read it 4 years ago, Peter Bergwood had written the original draft and was going to direct the film. And I read it, and I remember I was doing a movie called Accidental Husband in New York, and you know, the dream, and this is way before Watchmen, and I'd always wanted to do, you know, some kind of cool action movie. You know, it's a dream, but I was coming off of Grey's Anatomy and then doing this romantic comedy, and this script was sent to me, and I loved it, and I remember I was like calling people off. I love this script. Let's pursue this. And then the script went into turnaround and new director, and cut to 4 years later, and Watchmen was coming out. I had just gotten off the road doing press, and I got a call from Joel, and he's like, "Losers is back. We want you to do it." And I was like, "You are kidding me." This movie, and I'd been tracking it for so long, and it was this dream role that I didn't think anyone would ever see me able to do or wanted to see me do. You know, kind of an action cool guy. And I don't know if I've ever been more excited about a project in my life, and the initial response, I was just over the moon, and then the way it all has fallen together, you know, it's a pretty magical deal, and the fact that it's coming out now is super cool. And I saw a rough cut. I haven't even seen the cut that you've seen, and the response has been amazing. I don't know if I've ever done a movie where everyone that I've talked to in the last 3 days, and there's been a lot of conversations, I'm sure, as you know, that everybody's come in and said, "God, I didn't realize how much fun I would have watching this movie," and so I'm really proud of it. I'm so happy that people like it. Because as much as I loved Watchmen, and I loved it, you know, it was a very mixed bag, you know. People either loved it or they hated it. And this one everyone loves, and I couldn't be happier. You know, it's cool. Yeah.
It sounds like you were brought on very early.
Yeah, I was
one
the
of the
first one.
Yeah.
I was the first one officially cast, and then I got a call one day, and it was Joel, and he said, "Look, there's this girl, Zoe Saldana, she's going to be in this movie Avatar. Star Trek is coming out, and she's, you know, here. Who's she? Uhura. And because I'd never heard of her, I was like, all right. And he goes, "Well, I want you to come into my office, and we're going to have a chemistry meeting." And I'm like, "Well, are we going to read a scene?" He goes, No. I just want to see you guys in a room together." Which is weird, right? And so sure enough, I go to Joel's office, and every exec from Warner Brothers and Joel's Dark Castle and Akiva Goldsman, all these guys. So there's like 20 suits. Zoe comes in, this beautiful woman, sits at the end of the table next to me, and we're just sort of looking at each other like, this is the weirdest thing. I mean, I'm like, "How was your day today?" 5 minutes later, Joel's like, "You're the girl."
Shit.
And that was it. And then the rest of the cast just fell right into place very quickly. And you know, who would have thought? You know, I know I do. You do so many interviews and you talk about how great your cast is, and it's a lot of bullshit. You know, like this movie truly. I mean, I still am in touch with everyone. You know, a year later, we all hang out still. I sure hope we get the opportunity, knock on wood, to go back and do the rest of the story. So we'll see, man. It was a pretty good time. The chemistry was kind of undeniable, and I think without it, this movie never would have worked. So.
Yeah, definitely. I think that everything you said, it makes sense and it shows on screen.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm so happy and proud of everybody that had something to do with the casting of this, and all my losers. They knocked it out of the park. It was awesome.
I was talking with Sylvain just a little bit ago, and he was telling me about how he really wanted to use real guns with blanks so that you guys could actually feel the power of the weapons.
Yeah, it was important. We had a problem in Puerto Rico initially getting our guns into Puerto Rico. We couldn't get them through customs.
Really?
So we did a scene where we had not real guns that couldn't shoot blanks. And so we were having to mime like the kick of a gun, and it was horrible. No sound. There was no explosions of gunfire. And I remember just looking at Savon and going, dude, this sucks. This blows. We need our guns. And so we got a new armorer, and we had to kind of, pull some strings. I'm sure Joel was, doing Joel things. And we finally got our guns in. It made such a difference. Just the kick of a gun, the sound of a gun. It's the real deal, other than the fact that, a bullet's not coming out of the end of that muzzle. But otherwise, it's got the look and feel of the real thing, and it makes such a difference on how you hold your gun and how your reaction, whether your eye, blinks a half a second. There's something there. So it was super important. And just seeing the muzzle flashes, and, when we drive into the compound in Bolivia and there's 800 people shooting at us and we're firing away. It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. It was cool.
Yeah, that's what I mean about this sounding like it was so fun.
Yeah. It was awesome. It was loud. I probably lost a little bit of my hearing in the course of this, especially when we were shooting at the port of Puerto Rico, and it's just a rows of these metal containers, and having gunfights in there, because it's just reverberating off these metal containers, it was crazy. But I couldn't use earplugs because we had dialogue, and if you didn't hear what the person next to you was saying, you'd be like, they'd be talking to you, and you'd be like looking over here, just so I might be a little deaf because of Losers, but it sure did look real and seem real.
Is it going to make you even more deaf, if possible, when you shoot the sequel? You guys are just going to go bigger and better with more guns and more weapons? And
bigger and better. I think absolutely. It's amazing about this movie is we did it with a very small budget as far as these movies are concerned. It's amazing. It looks like a $100 million movie already. I can't imagine what we could do with actually $100 million, and the hopes are that people go see this movie and we get Sylvain back and this cast and we get to go do a huge movie, but if not, this is it, if it's a one-off, man, I'm so proud of this movie, and it accomplished what it needed to accomplish. It's a big movie.
Yeah, I think when I do a lot of interviews, I get the best perspective on a director from actors in the film, because they can speak about how he was working, as opposed to, like when they were very preserved in their interviews. Yeah. So I'm curious if you can speak about what it was like working with him. Yeah, and just not to say that his, background is problematic, but it's one of those things that people always mention. They're like, oh, how can the guy from Stomp the Yard be directing action?
Right. And by the way, I had the same reaction. I just got done working with Zack Snyder, who, in my mind, is just like this sort of visionary comic book god. He can create these worlds like no one else. And so, I had seen Stomp the Yard, which was a fine movie, but how does that translate to The Losers and this kind of bigger-than-life action film? And then I met with him, and we just met, and we had coffee, and he had this book with him that sort of showed, it was sort of the color palette of what he saw coming to life virtually from the graphic novel, but he had created this whole book of how he wanted to shoot it, this whole feel, and he really sold me on this, the action being like a video game action, where it's almost you're brought in, and it's almost interactive. And then we started working on this thing, and even before we started shooting, the way he sort of he trusted us, which is awesome. A lot of directors say, "Oh, I rely on my actors so much," and that's not true at all. He really did. He hired people that he trusted and let us kind of run with it, but he did it within the realm of him being the maestro of the whole thing. But what I loved about his shooting style is I never knew where the camera was. I never knew he would have 3 cameras shooting, sort of wide and pushing in for close-ups while we're all 6 in doing a scene. And so you had to bring it. It's not like, I'm going to wait for my close-up before I turn it on. So every take, because we had no idea what the camera was going to be pointing at or where it was going to be. And that's an awesome way to make a movie, by the way. It, especially for this movie, I think it really worked. It has a sense of movement to it. And you never, push into the close-ups. It's a lot of moving and very conducive to a film like this. He did exactly what he said he was going to do in that initial meeting. Totally impressed me. In seeing the movie, I was like, fucking Sylvan.
Yeah.
He nailed it. He really... So all those people out there that are thinking he can't direct action because he was the guy that did Stomp the Yard, they are dead wrong. And now, by the way, he's like the hottest director in town.
Really?
Oh, man. Everybody wants him.
Awesome.
Everybody wants him.
That's awesome to
hear.
hear.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, he's got projects they're throwing at him right now. He's really shy about it. If you ask him about it, he'll kind of shuck and jive his way through it, but everybody wants him for something right now.
That's cool. That's great to hear that he's got to that point through the losers.
That's
of all
right.
Films.
That's exactly right. So I couldn't be more proud of him.
That's fantastic. On The Watchmen, I know when you guys were shooting, the graphic novel was there often. You pick it up and reference it.
Yeah.
Was that the same with the losers? Just were there moments where you're like, oh, we need to reference something from the story, or did he just did you try to step away from it in a sense?
We sort of stepped away from it. In my trailer, I had Sylvan had blown up big panels of the comic book, and I had like 3 of them in my trailer that I would look at every morning. One was of Clay, one was of the group of the losers, and I guess 2 of Clay and one was the group of the losers. And it was those panels I used constantly as a reference point for me. But it wasn't to the point of where I was like, hey, this is what Clay says in the scene, because really this is kind of the first 2 volumes of Losers. This movie is sort of a mishmash of that. Right. So it wasn't like Watchmen where it was so literal, where it had to be ripped from the page, which was really important for Watchmen. That is kind of the most iconic graphic novel there is. Something like Losers, there was a little bit more room to play. Andy Diggle and Jock, who are just tremendously talented, had set this great foundation for us. For me, I find it invaluable. I love doing graphic novel stuff. I think it's the coolest thing in the world because look what I get to kind of work from. This is the whole foundation for what I get to do now. And with Clay, I think I got to mess around as a group. We got to mess around a little bit more. We all kind of figured out our characters very quickly, and we're in them. We fell naturally into these characters, and so we got to kind of experiment and play. And Sylvan encouraged that. So we were really lucky in that respect.
Yeah, that's again, it's like incredible to hear that it worked out so well.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's sort of the lucky deal, you know.
I was going to ask just one of the things I've been fascinated with your career is that I see so many Hollywood actors who start up in doing action movies, and then they end up in a romantic comedy here and there or whatever. And next thing they know, they're sort of this like family kind of actor, and that's all they all of a sudden that's all they're in. But I love that you're in these gritty roles. I love that you like remain in these kind of acting positions.
Well, I mean, I do a lot of stuff in between, but I haven't gone back to say the romantic comedy thing. Look, I like this world, and I like to take chances. That's the best way I can describe it. The material that I'm attracted to is sometimes riskier. I'm not trying to be safe, and I also, as an actor, I want to do as many different things as I can. The Comedian was kind of the first time someone gave me this opportunity to go nuts. Losers is just sort of a rebound with more stuff to do. and it's a great place to be. And I may end up doing a romantic comedy at some point if they write a good one ever. Really, they all read the same, and I read them. I'm just like, oh Lord. So look, I'd love to do something like that. I would love to take a chance on doing something different. But right now, the stuff I'm attracted to happens to be action, but it's because it's better. There are better scripts out there. There are better characters. In particular, this graphic novel world, I still think it's some of the most original stuff out there. And I know there's a shitload of graphic novels being turned into films, and people are like, "Oh, when's this trend going to end?" Well, who knows? Because there's a ton that hasn't been done, and they're really kind of the most fun and challenging characters that we as actors get to do. So, getting my foot in this door was the most important thing I ever did in my career, and I'll be damned if I'm going to let that door close. I love this world, and I am not scared of it at all. I want to be in it. So, we'll see what's next. My next movie I start tomorrow is based on two real cops in Texas City and some serial killings and a completely different field, but it's me and Sam Worthington, and it's going to it's a whole new big challenge that I'm really looking forward to. So.
I love the way your career's progressed, and I'm excited to see whatever comes next.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yeah. It means a lot.